Customer problems, needs, wants, and demands. In this video, I'm going to break down the business basics behind starting a business, but also the importance of why businesses need to focus on the customers. Hi, my name is Andrew, and welcome to this YouTube playlist video podcast where I break down the business basics and fundamentals. So, what I'm going to do is that in this podcast series, I'm going to break down a variety of business fundamentals, starting with the most core concept, understanding what your customers want and how to deliver a winning product and or a service. So first of all, let's talk about the definition of what a business is. A business is a person, an organization, or an entity that sells a product or a service to customers whatever they need or want with the intention of making profits. We see businesses everywhere. You might think of some of the big businesses like Walmart, Amazon, even Facebook is a business. Essentially, what a business is that it identifies what the customers need, want, or demand, and they provide a solution to these problems. We all have needs and wants every day, whether it's that you're hungry, you're thirsty, you need some appliances, need new clothing. So a business steps in and they provide a solution to problems that people face every day. Now, you can have a variety of different types of businesses. It can be a small business, like a mom and pop business in your neighborhood. It can be a medium-sized business, like a franchise, or it can be a large business, like Walmart, Facebook, Amazon, and all of these businesses, even though they're different sizes, they might have different numbers of employees, they all tend to focus on an ideal customer base. What is it that these customers that you're selling to really want, need, or demand. Now, let's break down customer versus consumer because there's a kind of a difference between the two. So let's say a business sells kids' toys and they decide to produce and manufacture them. Obviously, kids don't have like giant wallets or money lying around, so they'll often ask their parents to buy it. So the parents are the customer and the kids are the consumer. So if you are a business and you're selling a product or a service to kids, you have to identify that what the kids want may not be necessarily what the parents want because you have to think about the customer and the consumer. The customer is the person or business that buys the product, like the parents, and the consumers are the ones, like the kids who actually use the products. Sometimes they're the same person, but sometimes they're very different. So let's say, as a kid, you're walking down the cereal aisle and you're thinking about the different types of cereal that you want to buy. What you may want or demand as a kid may be different from what parents want. So businesses need to understand both roles because the buyer and user may want very different things. So now that we understand customers and consumers, let's break down what a business actually is. Businesses have a main goal and that they exist to serve customers. They have one thing in common. Now, businesses have to identify their core customer group or base. Who is it that they're really trying to sell to, and what are their needs and wants? Because different targets and groups and demographics may want very different things. And in my business class, one of the first lessons I teach in marketing is this idea of a target market. For example, Lululemon has this ideal customer base, maybe 20s, late teens, in their 30s, kind of athleisure, yoga pants. So their demographic is going to be someone that's very different from, let's say, for example, people that are like gamers, they may not want those types of products. So they have to identify who it is that's most likely to buy the products, more athletic people, people that are on the go, that want that lifestyle, and then Lululemon will have to provide products for that lifestyle. Does that make sense a little bit? So each business has a core group of customers that they really sell to. I often hear this idea that a business tries to sell to everybody. Who do you try to sell to? Everybody. But I feel that this mass marketing approach often leads to wasted marketing. Sometimes you promote your product to people that don't actually want to buy from you because let's say for example you're selling golf clubs and your marketing is going to people that don't play golf. So, in a business, you have to identify your core group of customers, what they really want, need, and demand, and how you can provide a solution to the problems that they face every day. Now, let's break down problems, needs, and wants. We all have needs and wants and problems, as humans. So, let's kind of define them. So, first of all, customer problems are things that are obstacles and frustrations. Let's say you don't want to rake the leaves, you don't have time, it's a cumbersome process. So, you hire somebody to do landscaping. So, the landscaper is a business providing a solution to problems that people face every day. Dry cleaning is an example of a business that, when marketed well, that there's always consistent demand. Customer needs are tend to be more essential. So one of the first lessons I teach in my entrepreneurship class is this idea of needs and wants. There are things that customers need and demand every day because, oh, it's like a necessity. People need to eat, people need to wear some basic clothing, people need to drive to work every day. Those tend to be necessities. Wants tend to be things like travel, like going to Hawaii, going to Mexico, going to Asia, going to travel. These represent market opportunities because where people have frustrations, issues, needs, or wants, this is where businesses can step in and provide a solution to problems. Because for example, I don't want to buy all the ingredients and make a fried chicken sandwich when I can easily go to KFC, pay money, and provide and buy a chicken sandwich. Businesses can step in and say, here I am, I'm going to ease up your time. You pay a little bit of money, and I'm going to deliver a product or service that's really going to address your frustrations, needs, and wants. I'm a teacher. There are a lot of things that I can't do personally. And this idea that, hey, voluntary exchange, I might go to a business and pay money, and I don't have to deal with all those issues and frustrations. For example, you know, I might not be able to tailor my own clothes, produce my own t-shirts, pants. So I go to Costco and buy clothing. And, I'd be willing to pay a little bit of money than me having to, learn how to sew, for instance. Other examples include like transportation, convenience, food delivery. Uber Eats really stepped in at a time, especially during the pandemic when people couldn't go out to the restaurant, people couldn't go to social spaces. So it was easier to have food delivered to you, groceries and other essentials delivered to you. You know, one of the things that I want you to notice is that a lot of these big businesses became successful and popular because they really identified a market opportunity, an opportunity where they can provide a winning product or a service, a product as intangible or a service which tends to be more intangible. One of the most critical lessons I teach in my e-commerce class is this idea of Netflix and Blockbuster. Netflix is one of the biggest companies in the world. They have lots of unique content. They have some big names like Stranger Things, Wednesday, a lot of really big shows like K-pop Demon Hunters. In the early days, Netflix really struggled out the gate because they really were struggling against this big company, Blockbuster. It was everywhere, Blockbuster. You can go rent a VHS, DVD, bring it back home, watch it, and return it. But their business model was easily causing frustrations because let's say you rented a VHS and you didn't have time to watch it, and now you have to return it. But then if you returned it late, you have to pay late fees. It's kind of like a library. So this created a lot of frustrations. And then Netflix kind of started with a similar business model. The DVDs, you pick a few DVDs that you wanted, they would mail it to you and you would have to mail it back. But then they pivoted using the internet to an unlimited model. Pay one price, watch as much as you want, as little as you want, but you're not charged extra if you watch more. This became really popular because let's say, life gets busy, you don't have time to watch. And let's say, you borrowed a whole bunch of DVDs and VHSs, and now all of a sudden you have to return it and you didn't really get a chance to enjoy it. So Netflix really stepped in, no late fees, one price, And this really became popular. And then they slowly and bit by bit, they overtake Blockbuster, and then Blockbuster became bankrupt. Blockbuster kind of recognized Netflix as a competitor, but didn't really step in until it was too late. So the idea here is that all of these big companies, Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, they have unique value propositions and they were able to capitalize on market opportunities and frustrations that customers had. And they provided a solution that consumers felt there was value. You look at Uber. Uber was started at a time when people needed a little bit of extra money. Cost of living is up. So Uber steps in and they go, okay, now you can start taxiing. You don't need a taxi license, and then you can provide lifts to people. It's kind of the similar idea with Airbnb. At the height of the recession in 2008, people had extra spare rooms or rentals, and then they can easily, provide a short-term rental and then get a little bit of cash flow. It's a win-win for both customers and the businesses. So the idea here is that even with the gig economy, you have to provide value, you have to identify an opportunity, and you step in, provide the solution to customers who are experiencing frustrations or consistent needs, wants, and demands. That's an area where I tell my students, hey, if you're thinking about starting a business, think about what people need and want every day. What do people struggle with? They don't want to do. Maybe they're lazy or they don't have time. When you are a business and you identify a problem, need, or want, and you build a product to solve it, this is called problem solution fit. As I mentioned with big companies like Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, you solve something that people care about and then people will return. Amazon has provided a solution, e-commerce, online shopping, but their Prime membership provides so many benefits such as free shipping, and also, Prime photos, unlimited photo storage. So Amazon is really providing solutions to problems that people face every day. Spotify with the problem of carrying around music, and even Costco, our favorite company, which solves the problem of rising prices by providing bulk value, and you only have to pay a little bit of a membership value. The idea here is that you're providing solutions to problems that people face every day. If the solution matches the customer's problem, that's what leads to business success. Now, to sum up this video, I want to really emphasize this point. A business cannot satisfy all potential customers. As I mentioned in the video earlier, you have to pick certain problems within your target base of customers and focus on that. If you try to solve all of the problems that people face, you're going to be spread out too thin and your resources or assets are not going to be deployed effectively. Think about what problems to focus on, which needs and wants matter the most to your customer base, and which customers you're going to serve. This is why you have different types of airlines that focus on different types of groups of customers, whether it's business class, luxury, economy, customer service, different problems, different consumers, but also providing different solutions. That's why you have companies like Ryanair trying to provide ultra low pricing and budgets, to the budget friendly consumers, but they will have to focus on different things. They even wanted to get rid of washrooms on the plane, which I found kind of funny because if you get rid of washrooms, you get more, seating room, and then you can lower the price of tickets for everyone. But I find that kind of a little extreme. So to recap, just a few quick points in this podcast video. Businesses exist to provide solutions to problems that people face every day. Customers buy the products and consumers use. Sometimes they're different, sometimes they're the same person. Problems, needs, wants, and demands guide what businesses build and how their products and services really are tailored to the customers. Problem solution fit is key to a successful business. If you provide a successful product, you're going to get customers to continue to return and return. And no business can serve everyone. Think about your ideal customer base and what it is that they truly want. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.